Well, hello everyone. We are here today with a magnificent gentleman here today. This is Dr. Shelley Plum, and we were here with Robert Tennyson Stevens. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with Mr. Stevens, he is the founder and the CEO of Mastery Systems. Mastery Systems, from what I have read, it really focuses on something very unique: conscious thought and conscious thinking and language. We want to welcome you. How are you, Bob?
I'm wonderful, and thanks for having me on, Dr. Shelley.
We're just excited to have you. And as we were discussing before, before we started the recording, you are up to something very groundbreaking. Can you describe what Mastery Systems is, and better yet, how did you find it? I mean, how long have you been developing it?
So I'll give you a little bit of history. In 1968, my second year at Western Michigan University, I did an independent study just out of the blue, and it was on the Hopi language. And what happened is I discovered, not about Hopi language, what I discovered is language is actually, it shapes our world. There was an author back then whose name was Benjamin Lee Whorf. He wrote a book called Language, Thought, and Reality. And one of the primary tribes he studied as, not as a linguist, but as an engineer, the way things are built with language, it was fascinating. He studied the Hopi, and I was into the Hopi. The Vietnam War was going on. Most people were fighting for peace, and that didn't make sense to me. It just, it doesn't make sense to fight for peace. So the Hopi, just long story short, the Hopi had over 5,000 years, unbroken years of peace, and the word Hopi means peace. So by studying their language, I began to see that their language construct actually created a different experience, a reality. Language shapes thought, which shapes our existence, our reality. So that started me on the trek of, wow, the power of language. And nobody else that I knew of that was working in that field. I was also in alternative health, very similar to the things I'm sure that we both studied and support and love and work with, that kind of stuff. And so people would come to me and they'd have all these problems, and I started to hear they would actually, like, they had eyesight issues. They would say, I just hate seeing, and that looks to me terrible. Or if they had support issues going on, their spine or body, and I started to correlate the power of the tongue with the physical body. That's where I started, or physical symptoms, that kind of stuff. So over the years, I developed it into a system called conscious language. And then once people wake up to the power of their tongue, like speak only what we choose to have come into manifestation, then they start to activate their idea of, ooh, what do I choose? What can I have? And so I also discovered a system of imagination activation by studying the author Neville. His real name is Neville Goddard. This is way back. And he was the capstone to my work. And he would say, once you make a new choice, so let's say I choose love, or I choose more money, or that kind of stuff. And so the next piece would be imagination activation. Instead of trying to figure out how to get it, imagine already having it. Imagine from your wish fulfilled, is what Neville would say. So the language piece and imagination, and then body language comes in. All of these unfolded over a period of time. Many petals opened up for me. So the Mastery Systems is a systems of, in other words, awakening our own inner coach. I mean, I really love when I coach myself and I can take $100 on one pocket and put it in my other pocket, because I did it. I coach myself.
Right.
And so much of what I'm about, like the word doctor means educator. And so, come on, let's teach ourselves how to live our healthy life. So Mastery Systems is all about awakening our own inner masterful self, whatever that means to each person according to their beliefs.